Hi, how are you, everybody? Welcome again to my live. And I'm Dr. Deb. Let me get some more light in here or something. Looks a little dull. Get a little bit more. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just plugging in a little bit of more light here so you can see me better. All right, it's Dr. Deb, and welcome to my Thursday, 1 o'clock Eastern Time live. How are you all doing? Okay, so the first thing I want to say to you is I thank those of you who have subscribed. I see lots of people have subscribed in the last month, which is great. However, if you want to get a notification to jump on the live in time to get it started so that you can actually ask me questions and comment and hear everything that's going on, then you also need to include in the little cogwheel thing, the little thing that sets your settings up, that you need a notification when a live will be upcoming, and then it will send you a notification in your email. I didn't realize that, so you know that. And if you want, you can also go to my website, and you can see on the very home page there a little video of me saying hi, and under that you can fill out your name and email so that you will get an email from me directly, and this way you will never miss a live. Okay, guys, so welcome. Today's topic is going to be, how can I possibly forgive my spouse for cheating? And yeah, this is really hard because in your mind, you have two problems. Problem number one is that you're still hurt because it happened and you can't undo trauma. And when you've been betrayed, that is trauma. Problem number two is that you don't know what tomorrow will bring. Your spouse seems to be very nice. They're handling everything beautifully. They're being kind. They're being loving. They're being friendly. They're being all the good things you wish they were. But when is the shoe going to drop again? And that's the problem, because you don't know. We cannot predict the future. We cannot know, or we thought we couldn't know, what is in the mind of the person that was cheating on us. Now, I want to just throw in, please, 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 please chat in with me. However, I am not sure if chat and comment are the same thing. I thought it was. I thought that if you chat, it's going to show up in the comments, but I don't think it does. So if you want to comment, you have to come back and watch it again when it's a replay, which will be in about an hour from now or something like that. It replays, it kind of resets itself and gets published very quickly after this thing is over, maybe less than an hour. Anyway, so that said, you might be able to chat with some anonymity, and it would be great if you did chat so that you interrupt me and I'm not just talking to myself, which is kind of difficult. I don't want to chat to myself. I want to chat with you. So please feel free to interrupt me and let me know what you're thinking, what your questions are, what your comments are, anything that you think you should tell me or ask me. Or even if you shouldn't, I want to hear from you, that you're there. I know people are there. Okay, getting back to the thing. So you have two problems with cheating. One is the pain and trauma that is unhealed. The second is you don't know when the other shoe is going to drop again. If you could mind read then you would know so much. You would know why this happened in the first place so that you could look out for the triggers that caused your spouse to cheat in the first place. You would know whether your spouse got healed somehow or the other. If they didn't work with me, I don't know how they got healed, but if they worked with somebody who was IFS, and we'll talk about that later, then maybe they got healed. And if they got healed, then you'd at least have some reassurance that the problem that was causing their cheating is gone. And if you could read their mind, you would also know how they really feel about you. Do they say that they will never do it again because they love you and they realize how stupid I am? Why did I do this to this gorgeous person that I'm married to? Or are they just there for the kids? Is there nothing you have in common and they couldn't care less? Like, where are they holding with regard to your relationship? If you could read their minds, you would know that when they apologized and told you they'd never do it again, you'd know how sincere they were. I don't know exactly how you can tell sincerity by reading a person's mind, and I'm not sure what reading a person's mind really means, but I do have a solution that will take care of problem one, the hurt you feel, and problem two, the worry you feel for the future. And here's what it is. And to explain the solution, I have to back up a little bit. I mentioned IFS. If the person who cheated on you has been healed by someone who has learned, studied, and become really top-notch skilled in internal family systems, they may have been healed. Now, I need then to explain what that is in case you have not been on any of my other videos or read my posts and you don't know what I'm talking about. IFS, Internal Family Systems, talks about the family of little yous inside of yourself, because we are all people who act in parts. Let me give you an example. I have a doorbell that I had installed when I first moved to where I am with a little plate that says Dr. Deb Hirschhorn. And it's a very light color. It's a light gold, and the letters of my name are very, very light, because what I didn't want to do is embarrass people who would be coming to see me as a therapist by having the words so bright and bold that everyone in the neighborhood would go, oh, they're seeing a therapist. Yeah, I wanted to keep their privacy. The problem I didn't realize is that when anybody rings my bell without seeing or paying attention to the name, there's a very high chance that they didn't want me at all. They wanted my neighbor upstairs or the person around the back or someone else in the building, but not me. Okay, so every time I go running to the door when the bell rings, I'll say, no, I'm not John Smith. I'm making that up, the neighbor. Hirschhorn, see? And I show them the plate. Every single time they go, oh, I didn't see it, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted them not to see it if they really weren't for me, because only the people for me should be seeing it, right? That was the whole point of keeping their anonymity. But what a mistake I made, because everyone keeps ringing my bell thinking I'm someone else. I guess it's the closest to their eye level, so that's the one they hit. And they don't bother looking for all the other bells on the side of the door. So what am I saying? If someone was looking for my name, if they knew to ring my bell because I told them to do that, they would have a part of them. It has nothing to do with their worries about their marriage, which is why they're coming to me, or their worries about the rest of their family, which is why they're coming to me, they would have a part of them that's focused specifically on the doorbell. And the person who's delivering the UPS package does not care. I wish they'd train them to look at the doorbell, but they don't. He doesn't care whose name is on the doorbell because his only interest is getting that delivered so he can jump back in the truck and run all the other deliveries as quickly as possible. The part of him that should, in my opinion, be looking at the doorbell is asleep. You see what I mean when I say parts? There are parts of us, most of our parts are automatic. That doorbell is a great example. Driving is another example. Even walking and talking is another example. We don't think how to do it. We just do it. Most of them are automatic. So what happens when a person has a part of them that is kind of unconscious, automatic, that has this need to cheat? What is the reason for that? What is the excitement? Or what is the fear? Or what is it that's causing that? Well, they don't even know. They don't know. I know that sounds strange because anybody being asked, why did you do that, will feel forced to come up with a reason, and they'll always come up with a reason that sounds like it makes sense. Let me tell you something. It's not the real reason. I guarantee you 100% that whatever anyone says is not the real reason. And here's the reason why that's true. Because we are meaning-making creatures. And the side of our brain, the right side of our brain, makes sense of things for us so that it feels on top of situations. So it will automatically jump in with a meaning. And I guarantee you, that's just what we had to make up to save our skin and answer a question. And how I know that that's not the reason is because when I'm sitting with people in private therapy, one-on-one, or 1-on-2 when the spouse is present, or 1-on-6 if it's a group of people from a family. Okay, but I'm focusing on one person. I will say, here's what I want you to do. I want you to quiet your mind. I don't want you to think. Don't come up with answers that sound right. Quiet your mind. I'm going to ask you a question. You can ask yourself that question and see what pops into your mind first, because that's going to be the real answer. Now, it will only be the real answer if that person feels safe telling me the truth. And that's why there aren't necessarily other family members, including the spouse, present yet. There may be a time in marriage counseling where we do want the spouse in because they do feel safe with each other. But until such time as that happens, the spouse can't be there and the other family members can't be there. So they have to feel safe, at least with me, which everyone does by the time I get to ask that question, because we've had at least one session where they're getting to know me, they feel comfortable with me, they like me, they trust me, and that's all good. So at that point, they're going to tell me what they really feel, which comes from that internal part of them that has been protecting them their whole lives. Some people have said they need to cheat to elevate their excitement level because life is dull. What's that about? Well, that's exactly what a gambler does, right? That even is what certain types of drug takers use for their excitement level, because when they're excited and stimulated, what are they not doing? They're not thinking about their pain. They're not feeling their pain. What pain? whatever pain they ever had when they were 3 years old, or whatever pain they still have now, if the old pain was not healed, they still have it even if it's unconscious. So whatever pain that person had when they were feeling a need for stimulation and excitement by cheating, that pain is subsided temporarily, just like taking certain drugs. The drugs that excite you versus the drugs that bring you down, like alcohol would bring you down. It would calm you when you're already too excited. It's different. Somebody who's cheated might say something else. They might be very depressed and they want to feel loved. And they don't feel loved by their spouse, even though their spouse loves them, because the kind of love that they need to feel when they're cheating or when they're living their life is different from the way their spouse is giving them the love. For example, they may need hugs, and their spouse may not be that nurturing kind of person. Who knows? But when I ask a person in the privacy of just the two of us, and they feel safe with me, and they clear out all the logical answers that come to mind to save their skin and sound good when they have cheated and they tell the truth, then I hear from that place of pain. Okay, so now I have explained a little bit about how the healing process gets started. A therapist is going to talk to them to their place of pain, which we've often called their inner child, because the pain has started a long time before they even got married. The marriage may make it worse, but if the marriage makes it worse, it may not even be something that their spouse understands or realizes. And they may be trying their best to be a good spouse. But when the marriage is not answering the need that the person had as a child for love, validation, feeling like they just exist for a purpose, any of that, when all that is not being met by the marriage, they may think that the spouse isn't doing their job and they may run off and cheat. Let me tell you something. Those childhood needs can never be met by the spouse. Never. Those childhood needs can only be met by a person who goes into therapy and learns how to meet their needs themselves. And the way you do that is not cognitive behavioral therapy. That's for another video. It's for a type of healing of their inner child that we do in IFS therapy. And I also do on my coaching program, which is not local to New York like my IFS therapy is, but rather it's national. But I'm not going to put a plug in for that right now because that's not the topic here. So what I want you to understand is that it is possible for a person to heal by having the correct kind of therapy that heals their inner wounds from childhood that they realize get triggered by current circumstances, which make them want to cheat as a way of soothing that pain. You may want me to say that one again. Healing means soothing the pain that came from inner childhood, which can only be done by that person themselves in the right kind of therapy, which I believe is IFS. And then the thing that was triggering that pain will no longer trigger that pain. And that's how the person can heal. Now, how do you get to read their mind? I mean, fine, but you still don't know what is in their mind, do you? Here's the beauty. A person who is healed is no longer triggered. When the person is no longer triggered, they're going to feel what? Safe. They're going to feel safe to open up to you and be vulnerable and be authentic, being who they are in the marriage. That is true healing. And you too. You healing from the wound of being cheated on, in addition to all the wounds of your childhood that left you kind of vulnerable to being cheated on, very frankly. When you have been healed from all of that, then you also can be open and vulnerable. You can be your authentic self in talking, in communication. Now, what happens when two people are able to talk to each other openly about what scares them, what hurts them, what they love about you, what disturbs them, what they wish could change? Everything. Mostly fears. Fears are the one thing that we're so afraid. We're afraid to show our fears. Our anxieties. What about performance anxiety? All of that. So when two people can actually share their true feelings with each other, what's happening? You're a mind reader because they're sharing what's on their mind. Now, you might say, wait a minute, how do I know they're not conning me? The more you do this work, again, I think you need the help of a third party, very frankly, but the more you do this work, you start to see discrepancies between words and body language. You start to pick it up. You know, I was speaking to a 13-year-old girl yesterday about her relationship with her sister. And she was saying, we can all be sitting at the table for a family dinner, and I can tell when she's upset before everyone else in the family can tell, just by tiny little muscles on her face. These two sisters are very close. Her sister's a couple years older than her, but I've heard the same thing going back from the other one. They're that close. So you too, if a 13-year-old can master the art of reading how the other person feels just by the littlest muscles on her face, you can too. And you do that in combination with listening to what they're saying, and then you know if they're being honest, vulnerable, open, and authentic, rather than faking it, conning you, pulling one on you. Now, there's another piece of this that's needed, and I mentioned it briefly. You have to be healed. Why? Because if you're not healed, there will be parts of you that are still needy. And if you're needy, you want to cling to what you hope is the truth rather than what is the truth. That may be how you got sucked into the marriage in the first place. Maybe you got conned in the first place. And when that happens, then you want something out of it, even though there's a part of you that recognizes a discrepancy between the words the person is saying and how you absorb their energy, meaning reading their face to know there's something amiss here, or reading their entire body language to know there's something amiss here. Something is not quite fitting right. You will know that when you're totally honest with yourself. So in healing, the stages of healing require that you become honest with yourself before you're honest with each other. Does that make sense, guys? I know there's people on, and I've been talking a blue streak here without coming up for air, and I really want to hear from you, as I said in the beginning. Does that make sense? Or is there some piece of this that you want to challenge or argue with or tell me isn't true or whatever? People can't find their chat or afraid to chat or are sick and tired of chatting in. Okay, I'm not seeing a chat here for that. All right, so I think I have told you the big secret for how you read another person. And I can teach you that. By the way, this 13-year-old, I didn't teach her. She came in with that skill. She had to learn, I guess, very early in life to be super aware of what the looks are on another person's face so as to know what the story is with how she's going to be treated by them. But you can learn that too. And that is what I teach. To reiterate what I said at the very beginning, if you want to get a notification of these live streams, there's two ways so that you can participate in it. Way number one is to get to the little settings cogwheel thing so that you ask to be notified of when there's going to be a live stream for this channel, Dr. Deb Empowers. The other way is to go to my website, drdeb.com, and simply sign up for an email. Either way, you'll get an email notification. And I think I'm going to send everyone an email out with that so that they know this is how to do it. I still don't see anybody chatting in. All righty, you guys. Have a great day. Take care. Be well.